All right, today we are jumping into a really game-changing book by Martin Rouleau-Degage called Organization 2.0. And it asks a pretty simple but, really powerful question. In an age that's completely defined by networks, by speed, by constant change, why are so many of our companies still running on an operating system from the Industrial Revolution? It's a huge question, and this book has a really compelling answer. So let's get into it.
So the book starts with this massive idea. We're not just going through a bit of change. We are living through a brand new renaissance. Yeah, you heard that right. A time of huge disruption and instability, but also, and this is the important part, incredible opportunity. Kind of like we're at a major turning point in history all over again.
And this analogy is just so powerful. Think about it. Just like the printing press completely democratized knowledge and turned the old world upside down, the internet is doing the exact same thing today. It's creating this explosion of innovation, for sure, but it's also sparking a kind of war right inside our own companies. A clash between the old guard, the industrial thinkers, and the new pioneers of a post-industrial, networked world.
So, okay, why exactly is the old way of doing things failing us so badly? Well, to put it simply, that top-down, hierarchical structure that literally built the 20th century, it's fundamentally broken in the 21st. It's a model that was designed for stability in a world that now demands constant, relentless adaptation.
The reason these old structures fail isn't because they lack smart people, it's a deep structural flaw. The book gives this chilling example of the old Soviet Union, the KGB agents on the ground, that excellent, super accurate intelligence. But as the information started moving up the chain of command, it was systematically altered, softened, twisted. Why? So wouldn't this please the people at the top? So by the time the leaders got the report, they only heard what they wanted to hear. The organization, even with all its intelligent parts, became collectively blind.
And this slide just shows how deep that cultural change has to go. In the old model, when something goes wrong, what's the first question? It's always who's to blame, right? We find a fuse, a person to remove, and we just move on. But in the new model, the question completely shifts to, what can we learn from this? Failure is an opportunity, it's deconstructed. And just look at communication. The old way uses writing to lock people into future contracts, to cover your back. The new way uses writing to preserve the memory of what happened, so the entire organization can learn from the past. It's a total mindset shift.
Okay, so the old model is broken. We get it. So, what's the alternative? Well, this is where the book proposes a whole new philosophy, one built from the ground up for a networked world. Welcome to Organization 2.0. Now, this isn't about chaos. It's actually about a new, smarter kind of order. The whole concept of net-centric management is borrowed from some of the most advanced military units out there. They realize that on a complex, fast-moving battlefield, you just cannot control everything from the top. Success depends on small, autonomous teams that have a shared understanding of the mission, complete trust in each other, and access to the same real-time information.
So, how do you actually do this? Well, it really boils down to three core principles. First, leaders have to learn to let go and actually trust their teams. Second, they have to shift from controlling every little action to simply communicating the intent, defining the why, not the how. And third, and this one is absolutely key, they must become masters of knowledge flows, creating an environment where information and expertise can move freely and quickly through the entire network.
But how on earth do you master knowledge flows? I mean, you can't just cross your fingers and hope for it. You need to build an engine. And in Organization 2.0, that engine has a very specific name.
And this brings us to this amazing concept, the community of practice. Now, this is not just a project team. It's not a department. It's a living, breathing social structure. Think about all the Java developers in your company, or maybe all the marketing experts who specialize in a certain industry. They might work in totally different divisions, but they share a passion and a craft. A community of practice gives that shared identity a home, a place to grow.
And listen, these aren't just informal coffee chats. They have a real structure. The domain defines what they all care about. Let's say elevator safety standards. The community is the group of people who actively show up and learn from each other. And the practice, well, that's the tangible output. The shared library of case studies, the tools, the troubleshooting guides they build together. It's a social learning system, and it is the absolute heart of the collaborative engine.
A really powerful way to think about this is to see each community of practice as a neuron in the corporate brain. Seriously, it has these synapses reaching out, pulling in information from customers, from partners, from the wider world. It processes that information through discussion and collaboration, and then, like an axon, it fires, publishing new knowledge, new solutions, and new best practices for the entire organization to tap into. This, right here, is how a company truly learns.
Okay, so that's the theory. It sounds great, right? But does it actually work? Does it produce real results? The book is absolutely packed with examples that show this isn't just a nice philosophy, it's a competitive weapon. So let's just take a quick look at BP. By connecting their drilling engineers in a global community of practice, they were able to get a 44% reduction in the cost of a new well.
And at the same time, the production from those wells shot up by 300%.
So what's the end result? An incredible 290% increase in the total value of each well. We're talking hundreds of millions of dollars a year. That is the raw power of collective intelligence. And it's not just about saving money. Check out this story from Schneider Electric. A salesperson gets a request for a simple price list. Now, instead of just replying, he alerts the airport's community of practice. The community's experts immediately realize the client is just trying to get bids from different offices to drive the price down. So what do? They swarm the problem. They met with the client, not to talk about price, but to really deeply understand their technical challenges. And they won the deal because they offered unique value, like expertise on new safety norms that none of their competitors could even come close to matching.
So we've seen the theory and we've seen the proof. Now it's time to kind of turn the lens on ourselves, because making this big shift, it isn't about new software or new tools. It's about a fundamentally new kind of leadership.
The book presents us with this really stark choice, drawing on the work of Jim Collins. On one side, you have the opportunist leader. This person is obsessed with competitors, with their own personal ambition, and they love to surround themselves with yes men. They build personal power. But on the other side, you have the creator. They're focused on building internal capability, they're ambitious for the company's success, and they're open to criticism. They build lasting value. And the message is clear. Organization 2.0 can only ever thrive under a creator. And this brings us to the final piercing question that the book leaves us with. And it's a simple diagnostic test for your entire company culture. When a project fails, what is the instinctive reaction? Is it to shuffle the org chart? To find someone to blame? To reorganize? Or is it to pause, gather the team, and actually learn? Your answer to that question reveals everything about whether you're running an organization of the past or building one for the future.